Hey guys, it's Lee here. So in this current market, what I thought I would do is just kind of share my thoughts and opinions about the current market, the current crypto crisis, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of the other top cryptocurrencies. So just sharing my thoughts and ideas about the current market, what my feelings are, my emotions are, and hopefully you guys can get something back from this, and it helps you understand your own personal emotions, but also what's happening in the current market and where we go from here. So 2017 was a great year for cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general. What we saw was basically hype and too much attention. The market kind of got carried away, it ran away with itself, and what we did experience was a bubble. As we was moving into late 2017, I become more and more aware of that bubble phase, and I was becoming quite concerned, but also kind of euphoric as well. And that's really what I was kind of noticing about the rest of the market. It was becoming euphoric, it was getting too excited, too hot. So for me personally, at the end of 2017, I started selling my holdings, a lot of the coins that I'd been mining, and I probably took about half of my money out of crypto. And thank I don't really believe in God, but you know, thank God I did. But it was really because of I was concerned about, like I say, this kind of this bubble kind of effect. Now, when I was selling up to November and December, as I was selling, I was like, I felt crap basically, and the reason was because obviously as I was selling and the market kept on continuing to rise, so I'm like, I've just sold, the market's rising, what's going on, should I buy back in, all this kind of stuff. So your emotions are kind of all over the place. But the point I'm getting at is, I was fortunate enough to sort of take some money off the table. So to reduce my risk basically by half, I decided that I was going to reduce my risk by half, and that if the market continued growing, I would still get some gains. If it went down like it has, then at least I wouldn't lose kind of everything. So I kind of like hedged, I went 50-50. So that was kind of like my thinking back then. So where we are now is kind of the opposite end of it. So 2018 has been kind of like quite a long, slow, drawn out death of crypto and blockchain. And I don't want to say this is death. This is certainly not the end. That's just where we are now. Like with all things, we get cycles. And where we are now is just at the bottom of another cycle. So 2017 was the top of a cycle, and now I believe we're more at the bottom of a cycle. So in all kind of industries and sectors, whether it's stocks and shares, real estate, bonds, and other sort of financial services, and even also you notice it with like people and commodities and stuff, you kind of get these cycles, and they're all effective for different reasons, but generally it's caused by growth in peoples and populations, or movement in peoples and populations, or it's also caused by like fiscal policies, such as interest rates and things like that. But you always see these cycles. So basically you have like this growth period, then you have this declining period, and you have a growth period and declining period, and it just continues on, and all markets kind of experience this. But for crypto, we're kind of blockchain, we're kind of experiencing it to a different degree and different levels. And because it's such a new technology, it's happening at different rates, and we're not kind of fully aware of these sort of cycles and how they can grow and dissipate. Whereas with the stock market, we're a lot more familiar with the cycles, business cycles, etc. With crypto, we're kind of learning what these cycles are. So at the moment, we're kind of at the bottom of this cycle. The hype and the awareness has kind of like faded. People are not excited about it as much. And so we're getting to a point where it's really kind of like coming back to basics. And so for me, in my opinion, I think we're sort of near the bottom of the market. And so I already said on Twitter today that I was personally going to start buying back in, but slowly, very slowly. And I must stress that for anyone that is considering to sort of buy back in, and don't just take my word for it, please use your own judgment. But I think that we are nearing the bottom. So I think to start dollar cost averaging from here onwards is probably not too bad. I think there's probably I think there's probably an 80% chance that we will rise in the future versus say a 20% chance that the market will continue to go down. So, and even if it does go down, I think I don't believe in my mind it will go down that much further. I think Bitcoin probably has the very bottom, I think it's probably about 3,000. So I think that today we're about 4,500. So I don't think we're going to go very much lower than that, like I say, and it's like a ratio. I think we've got 80% chance of gain versus 20% chance to lose more money. So that's my thinking of it. But like I say, so right now I believe that we are at the bottom of the market, and what that means for us, mining right now absolutely sucks for everyone. I don't think anyone is making any profit mining. Even Bitcoin miners and big institutional miners, I don't believe they're making any money at all. So one or two things are going to happen in the near future on the mining front. One is either the network difficulty is going to start coming down because people are turning their miners off, or the price of cryptos is going to have to increase. One of those is going to happen. We don't know which one, but one of them definitely will happen, because that's just like, it's like cause and effect. So on the mining front, I think things should improve soon, hopefully. Maybe not for us small miners, but I think mining in general should look a little bit better in the near future. I'm waiting for the Ethereum network hash to go down. At the moment, it's just kind of holding, and I think that's a lot to do with the Bitmain Ethereum miners. I think they've sold too many. I don't know how many they've sold, but I think they've sold too many, and those guys are just trying to get something back with all their mining hardware. So one other thing, well, there's a couple of other things I want to talk about. Like I say, I just want to keep this as just like a general, almost like a conversational piece, and it's really just me sort of sharing my thoughts and ideas, whatever comes into my head, and just sharing it with you. So a lot of people right now, they're kind of like, if you've got severe anxiety or you're panicking, it's probably because you've got too much at stake, too much invested in Bitcoin or blockchain or whatever. So that is going to cause you issues. What you can do about that is, well, first and foremost, you should have planned ahead, have a good plan. But right now, if you're kind of in this, you probably should be looking for a good point to take a little bit off the table. It's difficult now because we're at such a low point, and you are going to take a loss. But it's a case of, how much can you stomach internally versus how much you've got out there. So if you do feel very, very bad, and it's getting to a point, like I say, where it's causing panic and anxiety, it's probably because you've got too much invested. You should not have put much in the first place. But now I would suggest you take a little bit out, and like with what I was saying about the sort of the buying front, if you just do it gradually, just take a little bit off the table, a little bit off it, you won't feel like you're kind of dumping it all in one go, because the market is very volatile. You find that if you dump it all today and think, well, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to sell out, I can guarantee because it's psychology, that people, although we sort of all have our own individual thoughts and feelings, as a mass of people, we kind of all think very similarly. It's like the sheeple kind of effect. So if you get to a point where you think, that's it, I've absolutely had enough, I'm going to dump, I'm going to sell all my stuff. At that moment that you do, kind of everyone else almost thinks the same, and then either two things will happen. Either it will trigger basically a complete crash, or what will happen is it will push the price down so much that it's become too cheap, too many people have dumped, and then the next day people are like, oh, that's actually a bargain, I'm going to go start buying up, and the next day the price increases and you think, oh, I wish I didn't sell. But that's just kind of like how people react to these things. So you've really got to take more of a slow and steady approach to what you're doing. Try and think about the outcomes of your actions, not just what it feels inside, because most of the time it feels like crap or it feels great. And that's what I was trying to compare between the 2017 market, that euphoria, versus now, which is like glum and depression for people, and their emotional state. So you want to go on more of a logical and rational kind of thinking than your emotions. That's the point that I'm trying to get out. In the current market, I see that there is, the way we are now, because the price declines over this past week and also yesterday and today, That's why I basically started buying. I've bought a little bit of Bitcoin just today, and I'll probably use that just to kind of like repurchase some other coins. So the coins that I'm going to be looking to buy are basically the projects that I believe have the most potential, of course, in the future. So I think it's kind of like where we are now is kind of similar to like the dot-com crash, the aftermarket of the dot-com crash. So, you know, during those sort of like 99 and 2000s, it was a similar sort of situation as it was last year. We had this euphoria. Everyone was piling money into, you know, internet businesses because it was exciting, it was new, and they didn't really know what was going to be the big companies, so they just literally chucked their money into everything. And that's kind of what we see with blockchain the last year. So now it's the aftermath, and what we need to be doing, me, you, and you know, the smarter guys, if we call ourselves that, we want to be looking for basically the companies and the blockchains and the technologies that have got the best use cases for the future. At the moment, it's kind of quite difficult to tell which companies and coins and cryptos those are. But I expect it will be that, you know, if you just think about it, like back in the sort of the dot-com sort of area, you think about Google and stuff like that, I think, yeah, search engines, find whatever you want. That could be useful. I can see how people use that. You know, just use your common sense about what is a good use case, or, you know, Amazon, you know, shopping online to find whatever you want and it's delivered to your door next day. That sounds like a good idea. You know, some things are not as obvious. You know, other companies such as like eBay and PayPal, like transacting via the internet. Back then, it was a bit more risky. Now we can see it's a much more useful thing. So where I'm going with this is we need to sort of find in this aftermath what those companies and cryptos are, the ones that are going to provide the best useful benefits and features for the future. So the obvious one is, you know, Bitcoin, and some will argue that it's not really the best use of the technology, but, you know, the ability to send money from one place to another place anywhere in the world for a very little cost without any middleman or exchanges, that is a real useful feature. In the past with my businesses, I've done various transactions with people in China, importing, exporting, all sorts of things like that. And, you know, going down to Western Union and paying like, you know, a £50 fee to send some money to the other side of the world or whatever, that was not a fun experience. Or going to my bank and, you know, signing literally 2 pages of documentation to send some money to my supplier. All those kind of you know, those complications you can see that are quite easily fixed with blockchain. And you know, with Bitcoin, you can see the use case. So it's got a very strong use case. It's obviously the first crypto, and I think Bitcoin will obviously have a long and bright future. If you're looking for a safe bet in terms of blockchain for the future, Bitcoin is basically it. You're going to get, it might not be as exciting as other projects, but I think the gains and losses will be more narrowed both ways. So I think you've got less risk to lose, but also kind of less chance to get those big gains as well. Going on looking at other sort of projects, I personally think like privacy coins such as Dash and Monero, also to an extent Zcash as well. I think those coins are going to have their own kind of markets carved out, and it's really because a lot of that the privacy features. So those transactions, there's certain individuals in the world that obviously want to keep their finances very private, and that sector, and it really doesn't matter about what the people are or what they're transacting in, but those sectors are very big players. So I think eventually those monies will sort of turn from like fiat, the US dollar, which is what most things are transacted in. I think they will start turning to blockchain once things kind of settle down a bit, and they kind of, you know, these kind of the people will find that they can transact with a bit more confidence in these markets. I think we'll see more people moving into them. So Dash and Monero, I think they've got good potential for, you know, for the future because of those privacy attributes. Other coins that I'm sort of interested in, and I actually already own or hold them anyway. Ethereum, I think, can still be quite good for the future, but kind of the shine has kind of gone off it a little bit. In 2017, we really saw like a lot of increase in the value of Ethereum. Mostly it was because of all the ICOs that was being built and the projects that was being built onto the Ethereum blockchain. Now that kind of like shine has worn off, but I think it's still got a very good use case. And I think when the market picks up a little bit, I think we'll see a return of more companies and ICOs rebuilding back on, blockchains like Ethereum. So I'm still bullish on that, and I'm still mining. I think it's just going to take a while to get that re-going again. And also with the future concepts, the things that they're building upon it, it does still look very interesting to me. On the same sort of concept, I do like EOS. I took part in the ICO, or the token offering for EOS, so I hold some from that. But now the price is so cheap, I think it was about $3.50. That feels like quite a cheap price compared to what it has been at. And again, it's the similar sort of features as Ethereum, but with a slightly different blockchain and management. But essentially, it's essentially a very similar platform where people can build applications, dApps, onto that blockchain, and obviously it's got other benefits as well. It looks like the use cases and transactions and stuff are already picking up on EOS, so I think that could be one to watch. And it's still very early days for EOS, so I do believe that that has got good potential for the future. Of course, we'll see how these things go. So there's a few other coins that I'm interested in. The other one right now is Neo. I really like Neo. Similar concept to Ethereum. And EOS as well, actually, to a degree. But one of the things that I really like about Neo is it produces gas via staking. So that could provide a good small income for the future. And because you can buy Neo relatively cheap right now, I think it's less than $10. The gas is quite a lucrative aspect of that, so that could be quite a nice passive income for the future. So they're the kind of the main ones that I'm interested in, but really it is kind of I think it's becoming more of a buyer's market. So any of those projects that you think have got good long-term potential, like I say, trying to find those diamonds in the rough almost, you already want to be looking into those. So that's it for this video. I just kind of like sharing some thoughts and ideas with you, and really like almost like a conversational piece. So be sure to put your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are, and let's ride this out together. We'll see where we're going, and hopefully we'll be back on track soon. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.